The night that changed everything. A woman who believed in a rapper before the world ever heard his voice ended up paying the highest price for a dream she helped build. This story is not just about fame, music, street politics, or internet rumors. It is about the people standing behind an artist before the cameras show up. It is about loyalty, silence, pain, and the kind of tragedy that makes a whole city ask the same question over and over again. Why did this have to happen? Before the headlines, before the accusations, before the courtroom, there was Joina Brown, better known as JB. To some people online, her name became attached to a mystery. To the people who knew her, she was family. She was a supporter. She was the woman who saw something in Tee Grizzley when others doubted him. Tee Grizzley had already survived a difficult road before rap changed his life. Detroit had shaped him. Loss had followed him. Prison had tested him. But when he came home and wanted to turn pain into music, JB was one of the first people who truly believed he could do it. She did not wait for proof. She did not ask for guarantees. She put money behind the vision before the vision had a spotlight. Studio time, videos, clothes, movement, business, JB helped create the foundation. And when Tee's career started rising, she stayed close. She became more than an aunt by marriage. She became a manager, a protector, a trusted presence, someone who rode with him through the early storm of success. That is what makes the night of the 20th of August 2019 so haunting. After leaving a studio session, Tee and JB went to Detroit's east side. It was supposed to be a quick stop. Nothing about that night looked like history in the making. Nothing about it looked like the kind of moment people would still be talking about years later. But one small decision changed everything. JB stayed inside the vehicle while Tee stepped away. Moments later, danger came directly to the car. According to the story that later emerged, whoever approached was looking for Tee, but Tee was not in that seat anymore. JB was. And in seconds, the person who had helped build his career was gone from his life forever. What followed was confusion, grief, fear, and silence. Detroit wanted answers. Tee wanted answers. JB's loved ones wanted answers. But the streets did what they often do after tragedy. They whispered more than they spoke. Was it personal? Was Tee the real target? Was it connected to old problems? Was it random? Or was there something deeper hiding behind the silence? And years later, when a suspect finally faced the court system, the story took a turn nobody expected. The blame started moving in a direction that shocked fans and reopened every wound. Before we go deeper, comment where you are watching from right now. If you believe loyalty is rare in the music industry, press 1. If you think fame can make old problems even more dangerous, press 2. And make sure you subscribe, because this story gets darker, deeper, and more complicated with every chapter. The woman behind the career. To understand why JB's passing hit so hard, you have to understand who she was before the headlines reduced her to a victim. She was not just Tee Grizzley's aunt. She was not just someone sitting in a car at the wrong time. She was a woman who made a decision that changed another person's life. When Tee came home and wanted to rap, people around him did not all see the vision. Some probably thought it was just another dream. Some probably looked at his past and assumed music would not save him. Some may have cared, but still did not want to risk money, time, or reputation. JB was different. She saw possibility where others saw risk. That kind of belief is rare, especially in hip-hop, where so many artists start with nothing but pain, pride, and a voice they hope somebody will hear. JB stepped in before the industry stepped in. She invested before the streams came. She supported him before the applause. That kind of support creates a bond deeper than business. When Tee Grizzley started moving upward, JB did not disappear into the background. She stayed part of the machine. She helped with management. She traveled with him. She became one of those people every rising artist needs, but few publicly appreciate enough. The trusted person who answers calls, handles pressure, keeps things moving, and tells the truth when everyone else is clapping. But success has a strange way of making an artist more visible to both opportunity and danger. The bigger Tee became, the more his name carried weight. The music gave him fame, but fame also made him a target. Old problems do not always vanish when money arrives. Sometimes money only makes old enemies pay closer attention. Sometimes the people who doubted you become jealous. Sometimes the streets do not care that you are trying to move forward. And that is the part that makes JB's story so painful. She believed rap could help Tee rise above the chaos. But she was still close enough to that chaos to be caught in the middle. On that night, she was not looking for trouble. She was not involved in whatever tension may have existed. She was simply there with someone she loved, after a normal studio session, during what should have been a regular stop. That is why fans could not let the story go. It felt too cruel. A woman who helped a young man build a future was taken during the very journey she helped create. After the incident, people online tried to fill the silence with theories. Some were emotional, some were reckless, some were disrespectful. But the truth was simple. A family lost someone irreplaceable, and a rapper had to live with the thought that the danger may have been meant for him. That kind of guilt does not fade easily. It follows a person into interviews, songs, quiet rooms, and sleepless nights. Even when the world moves on, the person who survived keeps replaying the moment. And for years, there was no real closure. Detroit went silent. The investigation began with urgency. But urgency does not always mean answers. After JB was shot, Detroit police had a case that seemed loud from the outside but painfully quiet on the inside. There were witnesses nearby, but nobody had a clear face. There was chaos at the scene, but chaos often destroys details. The driver who had been with T and JB reportedly left during the panic and later contacted police. Nothing appeared to have been stolen, which made robbery unlikely. That meant investigators were looking at something more targeted. And if the attack was targeted, the biggest question became obvious. Was Tee Grizzley the intended victim? That question changed everything, because once people believed the attack was meant for him, the story moved from a random tragedy into the world of street tension, old conflicts, rap rivalries, and possible retaliation. But belief is not proof. Rumor is not evidence. And in a city where people may know things but fear speaking, investigators can hit a wall fast. A reward was offered. People talked online. Fans debated, bloggers speculated, but the case remained cold. For T, the public pressure must have been brutal. Fans wanted him to speak. Critics wanted him to explain. The internet wanted details, names, motives, and reactions. But in situations like this, saying too much can be dangerous, and saying too little can make people accuse you of hiding something. That is the impossible position many rappers face after tragedy. They are expected to be emotional but controlled. Transparent but careful, loyal but legal, strong but human. Every word gets clipped, judged, and twisted. T had already built his music around survival. His breakout energy came from real pain and real experience. But this was different. This was not just a story from the past. This was a fresh wound connected to someone who had stood beside him. And while the public waited for justice, Detroit did what many communities do after violence. People grieved privately, whispered publicly, and moved cautiously. The silence did not mean nobody cared. It meant people were afraid, uncertain, or unwilling to be pulled into something bigger than themselves. Years passed. No arrest. No trial. No final answer. For JB's family, that meant grief without closure. For T, it meant carrying both fame and pain at the same time. For fans, it became one of those hip-hop mysteries that never fully left the conversation. Then, after years of nothing, the case suddenly cracked open. And the break did not come from Detroit in the way people expected. It came through a name tied to Chicago, a weapon connection, cell phone evidence, and a theory that would drag the case into a much wider world of street politics. But even then, the truth would not come easy. The case finally moves. When authorities finally charged Jermaine Weeden, also known as Wu-Tang, the internet reacted like a cold case had finally found its ending. But the reality was far more complicated. According to the case built by investigators, Weeden was connected to evidence they believed placed him near the scene. Reports described phone activity near the area before the shooting, a vehicle matching descriptions connected to the getaway, and a firearm later tied through testing to shell casings from the incident. On paper, it looked like the kind of case that could finally answer the question people had been asking since 2019. But courtrooms are not comment sections. A case that looks simple online can become complicated under cross-examination. The defense did not just deny involvement. They pointed the blame in a direction that shocked people watching the case. Instead of accepting the prosecution's version, they suggested someone else may have had more reason to want T harmed. That suggestion reopened old conversations around Detroit, street politics, rap tension, and the dangerous overlap between music fame and neighborhood conflict. Suddenly, the focus was no longer only on who was physically at the car. The focus became who may have wanted the attack to happen in the first place. This is where the story becomes difficult, because speculation can destroy reputations and confuse the public. What matters legally is evidence. What matters emotionally is that JB was still gone, no matter who people argued about online. Still, the courtroom drama changed how fans viewed the case. For years, many had assumed the truth was buried forever. Now, names, theories, and timelines were being pulled into the open. The prosecution tried to show a path from evidence to suspect. The defense tried to create reasonable doubt by showing possible alternative motives and weaknesses in the case. And Tee Grizzley's name remained at the center of it all. Even though he was the survivor, not the person on trial. That is the heavy part. In hip-hop, when someone close to an artist is harmed, the artist often becomes part of the public trial even when they are not accused of anything. People analyze lyrics, they revisit interviews, they connect old posts. They act like every song is a confession and every silence is suspicious. But real life is not that clean. Tee lost someone who helped him become Tee Grizzley. Whether the attack was connected to his past, his fame, someone else's conflict, or a chain of decisions, only a few people fully understand. The result was permanent. JB's story became a warning about how close success can sit to danger. One day, you are leaving the studio chasing a bigger future. The next, your whole life is split into before and after. And just when the script seemed focused on Detroit, another rising rapper's story showed how quickly a dream can collapse in a completely different city. Another young artist, another tragedy. The second half of this story moves from Detroit to Mississippi, but the message feels painfully connected. Superstar Pride looked like one of those artists who came out of nowhere and suddenly had the internet in his hand. His song, Painting Pictures, took off fast, spreading across TikTok and streaming platforms until millions of people knew his voice. He had the kind of viral moment every young artist dreams about, the moment when your phone will not stop buzzing. Your name starts moving through the industry, and people who ignored you yesterday suddenly want a conversation. But viral fame can be a blessing and a trap. Pride's rise was not polished. Part of what made people notice him was also what made them mock him. His haircut became a meme. People joked. Streamers reacted. Social media turned his appearance into part of the entertainment. But behind the jokes was a young artist trying to process a sudden spotlight most people are never trained to handle. One minute, he was a regular young man from Mississippi. The next, he had a Billboard hit, millions of streams, industry attention, and strangers picking apart everything about him. That kind of pressure can twist a person's world. Fame does not fix emotional wounds. Money does not automatically bring maturity. Attention does not equal peace. For some artists, success arrives before stability. And when that happens, old habits, anger, pride, insecurity, and unresolved pain can all rise at the worst possible time. By July 2023, Superstar Pride's name was no longer just tied to music. It became tied to a serious criminal case involving the death of Marcus Wheatley, a 40-year-old barber who had reportedly known him for years. The details stunned fans because the alleged reasons sounded painfully small compared to the outcome. A disagreement, tension, anger, a moment that should have ended with distance or words instead became a tragedy that changed multiple families forever. According to witness accounts discussed in court, Pride entered a home in Panola County, Mississippi, where Wheatley was staying with relatives. A heated argument followed. What happened next became the center of the case that still hangs over Pride's life and career. Afterward, Pride turned himself in. And suddenly, a young rapper who had been rising through music blogs, playlists, TikTok trends, and radio attention was now being discussed in connection with a murder charge. Fans were left asking how somebody could go from a viral hit to a jail cell so quickly. But the deeper question was even harder. How many young artists are reaching fame before they ever learn how to survive the pressure that comes with it? The rise before the fall. Before the case, Superstar Pride represented possibility. He came from a place where making it in music is never guaranteed. He did not have the cleanest industry rollout or a perfect media image. What he had was a record that people felt. Painting Pictures connected because it sounded raw, personal, and emotional. It gave listeners the feeling that he was not just chasing a trend, he was trying to speak from somewhere real. That is why the song traveled so quickly. TikTok gave it wings, reaction channels gave it attention, fans replayed it, critics debated it, some mocked him, but even the jokes kept his name moving. Modern music industry. Attention is currency, even when part of that attention is cruel. But there is a dangerous side to becoming famous through the internet. The same people who lift you can laugh at you. The same algorithm that pushes your song can push humiliation. And when you are young, proud, and suddenly watched by millions, every insult can feel personal. Superstar Pride's image became tied to his hair, his delivery, his unusual look, and the emotional force of his music. People were entertained, but they were not always kind. For some fans, he was a new voice. For others, he was a meme. That split can mess with anyone's mind. And then came the business pressure. A viral song creates expectations. Labels call, managers circle, promoters want shows, fans want another hit. The artist has to move from local life to professional life almost overnight. But the people around the artist may not change at the same speed. Old relationships remain, old arguments remain, old environments remain. That is where many young rappers get trapped. They become famous enough to be watched, but not protected enough to be safe. They earn enough attention to be envied, but not enough wisdom to escape every bad situation. They may have money coming in, but still carry the same anger and survival instincts from before fame. In Pride's case, the alleged incident with Marcus Wheatley became a devastating example of how quickly everything can collapse. Marcus was not a faceless headline. His family described him as kind, helpful, and soft-hearted. He was a barber, someone connected to the community, someone whose life meant more than any argument, and his loved ones were left to deal with pain no song stream could ever repair. Meanwhile, Pride supporters struggled to understand how an artist with so much momentum could end up in this position. Some blamed mental health, some blamed the environment, some blamed ego, some blamed the pressure of online ridicule. But whatever people believed, the outcome stayed the same. One man was gone, another man's future was in the hands of the court, and hip-hop had another tragedy to discuss. Fame does not erase the streets. The stories of Tee Grizzley and superstar Pride are not the same, but they carry the same warning. Fame can change your bank account before it changes your environment. It can put jewelry on your neck before it puts peace in your life. It can give you a platform before it gives you protection. And in hip-hop, where so many artists come from real struggle, that gap can become dangerous. Tee Grizzley made it out in a way most people never do. He turned prison time, Detroit pain, and raw storytelling into a career. But even after success, the danger around him did not fully disappear. JB, the woman who helped him move toward a better life, was caught in the middle of that reality. Superstar Pride reached millions with one viral record. He had the chance to build a future from music, to travel, to grow, to turn one song into a career. But according to the allegations, one confrontation pulled him into a criminal case that may define his life more than the music ever did. That is the cruel pattern. A young artist gets close to freedom. The door opens, the world starts watching. Then one moment, one decision, one unresolved conflict, or one old danger pulls everything backward. Tee Grizzley has spoken before about choosing money over violence, choosing progress over street pride, choosing a different path when the wrong path is available. That message matters because it comes from someone who has seen the cost up close. He knows that retaliation can feel powerful for a moment and destroy decades of life afterward. In the world these artists come from, respect can feel like survival. Insults can feel like threats. Walking away can feel weak. But the truth is, walking away is sometimes the strongest move a person can make. The internet rarely rewards peace. It rewards reaction. It rewards drama. It rewards people crashing out in public. But real life charges a price that views cannot pay. JB's family still had to bury someone. Marcus Wheatley's family still had to mourn. Tee still had to carry survivor's guilt. Pride still had to sit in custody, while his career kept moving strangely through songs released from behind bars. That is the part that feels unreal. Music can keep streaming while lives are frozen in pain. A song can keep climbing while a family waits for justice. A name can remain popular while the person behind it faces the possibility of losing everything. Hip-hop loves the story of survival, but it has not always done enough to protect the people trying to survive. And until that changes, these tragedies will keep repeating with different names, different cities, and the same heartbreaking ending. The internet makes pain louder. One of the darkest parts of both stories is how the internet reacts when real people suffer. When JB died, people did not just mourn. They speculated. They joked. They turned pain into content. Some fans asked serious questions, but others treated the tragedy like an episode in a drama series. They forgot that behind every headline was a woman with family, memories, and a life that mattered. When superstar Pride was arrested, the internet did the same thing. Some people were shocked, some were sad, some were angry, but others immediately connected the case to jokes about his haircut, as if a man's death and a young artist's possible downfall were just another meme. That is what social media does when it loses its humanity. It turns tragedy into entertainment before the families even have time to breathe. But the people closest to these cases do not experience them as content. They experience them as empty chairs, court dates, phone calls, memories, and questions that may never fully be answered. For Tee Grizzley, every time JB's name trends, it can reopen the same wound. For Marcus Wheatley's family, every joke about the case can feel like disrespect. For Pride's family, every update is another reminder that the future they imagine may be gone. And still, the machine keeps moving. Blogs post clips. Comment sections argue. Fans choose sides. People who do not know the victims speak with total confidence. Rumors become facts because they sound believable. Old lyrics get treated like evidence. Every photo becomes a clue. But real justice does not happen in a comment section. The court system moves slowly. Investigators build cases piece by piece. Families wait, lawyers argue, witnesses testify. And somewhere underneath all that noise, the truth tries to survive. This is why stories like these need to be told carefully. Drama may bring attention, but respect keeps the story human. The goal is not to glorify violence or turn pain into a circus. The goal is to show how quickly life can change when pride, pressure, fame, and unresolved conflict collide. Because the truth is, both JB and Marcus Wheatley deserve better than becoming internet talking points. JB deserved to be remembered as a woman who believed in someone before the world did. Marcus deserved to be remembered as a man loved by his family, not just as a victim in a rapper's case. Tee deserves space to grieve without every stranger demanding answers. And even Pride, while facing serious allegations, represents a larger issue about young artists being pushed into fame without emotional grounding. The internet can make pain louder, but it cannot heal what it helped mock. The lesson hidden in the tragedy. By the time you put both stories side by side, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Hip-hop is full of talent, but talent alone cannot save a person. A hit record cannot heal trauma. A viral moment cannot teach emotional control. A record deal cannot erase old danger. And fame cannot bring back the people lost along the way. Tee Grizzley's story shows how success can still leave an artist exposed. He had made it further than most. He had music, fans, money, and momentum. But one night in Detroit proved that the past can still reach into the present. And sometimes the people closest to an artist suffer the consequences. Superstar Pride's story shows the other side. What can happen when a young artist gets a massive opportunity but may not have the support system, maturity, or peace needed to handle the pressure? One alleged moment of violence became bigger than the music, bigger than the streams, bigger than the viral success. And in both stories, families paid the deepest price. That is the part viewers should sit with, not the gossip, not the rumors, not the internet jokes, the families. JB's loved ones lost a woman who gave her time, money, and faith to help someone else rise. Marcus Wheatley's loved ones lost a man they described as caring and helpful. These were real people, not side characters in a rap documentary. For artists watching this, the lesson is clear. Protect your peace before you protect your image. Leave situations before pride makes you stay. Build a team that cares about your life more than your fame. Do not confuse street approval with real success. The goal is not just to make it out, the goal is to stay out, grow, and bring people with you safely. For fans, the lesson matters too. Stop rewarding destruction more than growth. Stop pushing artists to crash out and then acting shocked when real consequences arrive. Stop turning every tragedy into a meme. The culture cannot keep mourning people on Monday and laughing at the same pain by Friday. There is nothing weak about choosing life. There is nothing soft about walking away. There is nothing fake about wanting peace. Tee Grizzley's pain and Superstar Pride's case are reminders that one decision can change everything. One ride, one argument, one weapon, one moment of anger, and suddenly the future is gone. Hip-hop does not need more tragedy to feel real. It needs more artists alive, free, focused, and surrounded by people who value them beyond money and music. What hip-hop needs to learn before it is too late. The hardest truth in stories like this is that nobody wins. Not the artist who survives but carries guilt. Not the family who buries someone they loved. Not the fans who argue online like tragedy is entertainment. Not the culture that keeps watching young talent rise, burn bright, and then get pulled back into pain before they ever get a real chance to mature. Tee Grizzley's story is painful because JB was not just a name attached to his career. She was part of the reason the career existed. She believed in him when belief actually cost something. She invested in him before the world did. And when she lost her life, it exposed one of the coldest realities of the rap world. Sometimes the people standing closest to an artist are the ones who suffer from dangers they never created. That is why loyalty has to be protected differently. Real loyalty is not proving you are tough. It is not staying around danger just because you came from it. Real loyalty is making sure the people who supported you are safe, respected, and not placed in situations where old problems can reach them. Superstar Pride's story carries a different lesson, but it is just as serious. A viral song can change your life, but it cannot replace discipline. Attention can open doors, but it can also magnify every weakness. If anger, ego, pressure, and bad surroundings are already there, fame can make them worse. That is why every rising artist needs more than a hit record. They need guidance. They need emotional control. They need people around them who can say no. They need distance from situations that can destroy them. They need to understand that walking away from conflict is not losing. Sometimes walking away is the only reason you get to keep your future. The music industry also has a responsibility. Labels, managers, promoters, and media platforms can not only care when an artist is profitable. If the culture celebrates pain, sells trauma, rewards chaos, and ignores mental pressure, then it should not act surprised when young artists break under the weight. Fans have a role too. Every comment, every share, every joke, every reaction tells the algorithm what people want more of. If fans only reward drama, artists will feel pressured to live inside drama. If fans only click when someone is in danger, the culture becomes addicted to destruction. But hip-hop does not have to stay trapped in that cycle. The real power of rap has always been storytelling. It gives voice to people who were ignored. It turns pain into art. It lets people describe the world they survived. But the next step has to be healing. The next step has to be wisdom. The next step has to be making sure the artist lives long enough to enjoy the success they fought for. JB's life should remind people to appreciate the ones who believe early. Marcus Wheatley's life should remind people that every victim has a family, a story, and a future that mattered. Tee Grizzley's loss should remind artists that survival is not only about making it out, once it is about making choices every day that keep you and your loved ones alive. Superstar Pride's case should remind young rappers that one moment of anger can become the headline that erases everything they worked for. There is nothing glamorous about grief. There is nothing powerful about throwing away a future. There is nothing weak about peace. The smartest move is not always the loudest move. The strongest person in the room is often the one who refuses to let pride control them. The real boss is not the one who wins an argument. It is the one who protects their freedom, protects their family, protects their mind, and keeps building. So the lesson is simple but heavy. Choose life before image, choose peace before pride, choose growth before revenge, and choose the people who truly want to see you alive and free. If this story made you think differently about fame, loyalty, and the hidden cost of the rap industry, hit like, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that go deeper than the headlines. Comment 1 if you believe artists need stronger support systems. Comment 2 if you believe fans need to stop rewarding drama. And tell us where you are watching from, because stories like this matter in every city.